Face front, armchair Imagineers, BlueDragonFive here with another marvelous installment of Disney Debates. More accurately, Disney Debates Marvel Edition. Not only Marvel Edition, a one-on-one Marvel Edition, the very first for Disney Debates. That's right, folks. It's early May, which means the superhero summer blockbusters are upon us, and 9 times out of 10, it's a Marvel movie. 8 times out of 10, it's an MCU film. What's the correlation? Well, let's just say Disney has a stake in Marvel's success. That said, tonight's roster boasts the following questions. Best directed Marvel film. Coolest one-on-one fight scene in the MCU. Which MCU property should go to Disney attraction next? And a myriad of mystery speed round questions.
Nobody told me there'd be a speed round. That's okay.
Bum, bum, bum. Now it's time to board the Star Tours, take a right at the Forest Moon of Endor to Sakaar. That's Planet Hulk for the kiddies out there, and enter the arena! Time to greet the gladiators, so to speak. In this corner, champion of Moana and strong advocate of Harry Osborn's pie, it's Tiki!
I mean, Harry Osborn's pie is delicious, man. Come on. It's so good.
And in this corner, because the other two are filled up with stuff, because I like keeping stuff in the other two corners, the Scholar of Strange, the purveyor of Super Academy, it's Jacob Gulliver.
Thank you. I think Tiki's titles were cooler, but that's okay. Those are pretty great.
So, how we feeling, boys?
Oh, I am feeling pumped. Yeah. You know, Dragon, I barely lost to our new challenger, Gabby, last time, and I do not intend to have the same thing go down this time. I'm hoping to redeem myself here.
Mr. Gulliver?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm extremely busy. I'm delighted that I could come on and hang out with you guys for another one of these cool little events. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It should be fun.
We're glad to have you, and I'm glad to be hosting. Not only am I just hosting, I'm blessed by having a co-host and someone to kind of help out in the kind of the judging, kind of the factoring, the critiquing, if you will. Jacob Weil. With me by
Hello,
the side.
everyone. We're up here a few times. I'm on camera too.
Yep.
Finding out in Imagineer land.
Okay. Let's not dilly-dally. So let's go over the rules for those playing the home game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really quick. Is there anything that Jacob Gulliver would like to plug before we get into the thick of it?
Sure, yeah. If you haven't had a chance to yet, please check out hotchocolatemedia.net. That is our awesome production company where we made Super Academy along with several other cool shows. We also have the weekly podcast Movie Machine where we make up a movie really fast based on a random plot generator on the internet. It's very fun and very wild. Last week we did some live episodes at GlitchCon in Minnesota here, which is an indie game convention. And so we made some video games instead of making movies. And
nice.
It got pretty weird and crazy and tons of fun. So yeah, feel free to check it out. And also be sure to check out the rest of the videos on the So You Want to Be an Imagineer podcast network.
Oh, too kind, too kind. All right, Dragon, let's explain the rules. Get down to it.
Okay, let's go over the rules for those playing the home game. 3 Marvel questions. Player, we got 3 Marvel.
Of course, sound effects too.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. So, basically, we got 3 Marvel-related questions. If one player gets 3 points, or everybody gets, or of our 2 players, each gets 1. Then we're gonna have the break glass option.
Well, I mean, now that we're down to 2 people,
Right.
the 2 options would be either like a 2 and 1 or or sweeping. Yeah, but
Let's scratch that one out, folks. Sorry.
Yeah.
That one.
My bad.
One is we have 3 Marvel questions. We'll flip a coin, decide who goes first. I'm just going to stick with that order throughout the duration. Structure is this. We're going to trim it a little this time. Structure is we have an opening statement in which our players will reveal their answer. Basically, here's the crux of what I want to see from the opening statements. Got to reveal the answer. Little introduction. why, why yours is has been chosen, what's so special about it, and just overall good stuff. You get that all into kind of the opening statement, all-encompassing opening statement. Then we'll get to the Battle Royale segment, where we fight it out, we argue the weaknesses and the superiority. And just to add, again, just to add danger and unpredictability. No closing statements. You got to make everything count. You don't know when it's going to, when the lever is going to be, when the musical chair music's going to go off. Speaking of sound in general, of course, as per usual, R2-D2 is the bell. When you hear that, it's Kaputski. It's done. Round's done. Bell's been rung. The universe is heard. So then I will get into we will get into the critique. I'll have Jacob Weil kind of confer with me. We'll give a critique, and then I'll pass like Ronan the Accuser. I'll pass the final judgment.
What happens if we hear BB-8?
Well, if you're BB-8, you have 5 more minutes. Unfortunately, BB-8's out to lunch.
It's too bad.
Yeah. His agent's a nightmare to get in touch with that guy, believe me.
Makes sense.
He has the sheriff dressing with Poe Dameron, and he never shuts up about it. Anyway, so then we get to the speed round where things, let's just say, get a little tricky. So, gentlemen, do you understand these rules as I have explained them here to you today?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Good.
Can't wait to.
Okay.
Does anyone have any change? Do we have any coins?
I got you covered. I got you covered, bro. I got you covered.
Okay.
All right. So, Gulliver, do you want to call on the air as I flip it?
Sure. Let's hope that this works.
Let's do it.
Heads.
Tails. Okay, so that means that Gulliver goes first. I go second.
And I marked it down. Okay.
All right.
All right. Question numero uno. What is the best directed Marvel film? Now, let me just cover the parameters here real quick. This is all-encompassing. It's broad. As in, this means, it's broad to anything Marvel that is Marvel produced and feature length. It means it can be Fox, can be Sony, can be animated even if you really want it to, as long as it's feature length.
Yeah.
I need the director. I need one specific film. So I'm not looking for the career of the director. I'm looking for his work. He or she's work on one specific film.
The magnum opus.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I guess let's start off with Jacob Gulliver.
Yeah. So my
Opening
pick for this one.
statements.
My pick for this is going to be the original Iron Man, the opener to the MCU, directed by Jon Favreau. And I think, in addition to just being a very well-crafted movie from beginning to end, I think this also kind of set the tone for how we view the rest of the Marvel Universe. And they're starting to branch out a little bit more now, but at the beginning there was just so much specific style and flair that all began there and wouldn't exist in the other movies without the very precise attention to detail and the very specific choices that were made in how the character was handled. So I think that's going to be the my pick for this choice. I think that's going to be the strongest case in my mind.
All right.
Okay, on to Tiki.
So my pick is Spider-Man 2, directed, of course, by Sam Raimi.
Solid choice.
Spider-Man 2 still is up there, is one of the best superhero movies of all time. It is very true that without Iron Man, we wouldn't have the MCU. But without Spider-Man 2, we would not have Iron Man. Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man set a tone and a precedent going forward for superhero movies, and Spider-Man 2 absolutely perfected on it. Between the horror sequences of Dr. Octopus in the lab and the terrifying ways in which the claws interacted to him, between Peter Parker's struggles in his love and in paying the rent and in holding down a job, between the amazing train sequence, which not only contains some of the best action we've ever seen on film, but also one of the most gut-wrenching moments ever seen in a Marvel movie. Spider-Man 2 has it all. It continues on what the first one set forth. It sets everything up for an amazing third film, which unfortunately didn't come to fruition. But by God, in the grand spectrum of the Marvel canon of movies in general, Spider-Man 2 is a critical linchpin that got things going in a very, very specific direction towards the tone that we'd hit with the MCU.
Okay, well, we're about to fight it out in the battle royale. Please do not hold back. By fight, I mean let's metaphorically try to kill each other with words. You know, let's just go all out. Okay, so we have Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 versus Jon Favreau's Iron Man, the original.
The last act of Iron Man flat out sucks. Shots fired. So. Shots fired, my friend. Shots fired.
Sure.
Look, Iron Man is a fun movie, right? Like, and it does set up a lot, but I don't know. I really do feel like the MCU didn't really get going until the first Avenger. And to tell you the truth, Gulliver, the first Avenger was going to be one of your choices. You were deciding between that. And I honestly think first Avenger really does go a lot more in terms of the style of setting up the canon of the films. Like, Iron Man is very much a weird sort of fringe movie where, yeah, it's like you have Nick Fury at the end setting up the Avengers and everything, and you have the Tony Stark tech, but really it's an interesting structure where like 90% of the movie is just sort of origin story, and then there's like a sloppy finale with a villain who is more cool just, like as a face, as Jeff Bridges than he is. Like, when the villain gets inside of the costume, he becomes less intimidating, and that's a huge problem for me with Iron Man.
Sure. No, I can see where you're coming from on that angle. I think I almost would say that the villain in Captain America is weaker. It starts out campy, it ends campy. The character is very one-dimensional, the character of the Red Skull, and I found that to be part of the reason I went away from that. I agree that Jeff Bridges, when he's on screen, is very intimidating. I think that Iron Man does a better job of encompassing the whole of the character. Captain America is really like an origin story with like 20 minutes of actual Captain America shit in it, which is I love that movie. It's great.
Yeah, sure.
It's really a story about Steve Rogers with like 20 minutes of Captain America tacked on the end. So that's why I didn't go that route. And
all right,
I love that movie to death, but that's why I didn't go there. I think Iron Man and Tony Stark are the same person. There's not like a separation between the character and the costume in the same way, and that's always been a theme in the comics and in the movies. And I really like that we get to see all these different facets of this character as he's like growing and changing. We get one of the most in-depth character journeys from beginning to end. That's what I love so much about Iron Man. And we get to see him at his worst. We see him at his best before he makes his change. And then as, he's kidnapped and he starts to learn more and, comes back, we get to see his best and his worst after the fact and see how those have changed from point one to point two. So we're seeing all these different aspects of Tony and kind of learning about his growth and his process over all that time, which is it's to a level that just doesn't exist in a lot of Marvel movies these days. Not to say that they aren't good, but I think that's something that they could really benefit from a lot.
It's a character study. It very much is a character study, and I'll give you that for sure. I just remember, Jacob, and this might be a taste thing, but I remember sitting in the theater opening night for Iron Man, and look, I've grown older, and my tastes have kind of matured since then. When Iron Man came out, I was still in high school. But I remember sitting there and being like, okay, this movie is just a lot of Iron Man, like, making the suit and tinkering with the suit, but not a lot of actual Iron Man. And that, like, it's an interesting structure. Like I said, like, you have the really good origin story at the beginning, and then you have, like you said, every facet of the Tony Stark character is on display. And, of course, let's give credit where credit's due. Robert Downey Jr., fantastic in that film. But like I said, there's a weird pace issue with the original Iron Man, whereas with Spider-Man 2, I feel like Spider-Man 2 is a perfect movie all the way through. I feel like every character, like you mentioned that Tony Stark is definitely a 360-degree character, but with Spider-Man 2, every character gets that arc. Peter Parker, he goes through the whole Spider-Man No More arc. He has a huge redemption arc towards the end of that movie. Otto Octavius is, of course, the most complex of the three villains that we got in the Spider-Man series. And, you know, straight from Harry Osborn, James Franco delivers like probably one of his most serious and least ironic performances, you know, before going full goofball in Spider-Man 3. And even like the small like one scene characters in that movie, like Mr. Raziz, the pizza guy, like they all stand out, you know, and it creates a fresh lived in world, a New York City that just feels like it's in the Marvel universe without being connected to like, hey, look, it's Nick Fury and the Avengers. You know, it's just like it feels like a lived-in comic book world without the ties to the MCU.
Okay, now I'm gonna need two things. I need to hear more about Spider-Man 2 from Gulliver. I need to hear. Don't let Tiki kind of get one up on you there. Just make sure we start taking some shots at Spider-Man 2 to keep it even. And also, guys, I need to hear more director talked about. And hear more movie of the directors.
Gotcha.
I got to hear like what brings us to these things you're talking about.
Sure.
I will wholeheartedly admit that there are some amazing bits in Spider-Man 2, and I love Spider-Man 2. So I don't want to completely step on that as a movie.
That's the challenge of the game, man.
Here's what I will say, though. Alfred Molina is a treasure, and Alfred Molina is a treasure and must be preserved for all eternities. His role in that movie, we get to see the complexities that I was looking for, and definitely up there in top villains in a superhero movie ever. Mm-hmm. Amazing. The problem I have is not him. The problem I have is Peter and Mary Jane.
Okay, here we go.
I don't think they're anywhere as near compelling as somebody like Alfred Molina is. I love it. It's just campy. The dialogue is soft. It's just there's not as much like energy. There's not as much compelling, power coming from them the way that we get it from Alfred Molina, or the way we get it from say what you will about Willem Dafoe. His portrayal is campy as balls, but but he has an energy that rips apart everyone else in the room. And Alfred Molina has that same energy. And when I think of the scenes with like Peter and Mary, just like chemistry and just kind of these derpy high schoolish, oh, but I love you, it's cool, things are good, and like I don't care.
The movie's totally direct. Let's talk about director. The movie is totally directed to be like a derpy, like Sam Raimi. That's his style, man. He loves that sort of like campy dialogue and like really like hard on string, romance.
He's allowed to like that, and Sam Raimi's a very cool guy, but I don't know if that's as compelling, not anywhere near as level as compelling as Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
All right. Well, like Dragon said, I think we need to get back to the discussion of the director. So, and as I kind of was touching on with my opening statement, I think that Sam Raimi, he did a very good job of bringing some of his personal flair into the original Spider-Man. But with Spider-Man 2, he just absolutely, like, this is straight up, like, some of those scenes, like, of course, the one I mentioned earlier, especially the Doc Ock being born sequence, basically feels like something out of Evil Dead. And then, like I said, other than that, I feel like Raimi has a really, really good grasp on crafting a New York that feels real and lived in. The score by Danny Elfman is just like very, very captivating and compelling.
Maybe
and really
if your movie is a musical, then sure.
Okay.
It feels like an amped up like stage production of New York rather than real New York. There'd be a lot more like
it's a comic book. It's comic book New York. Do you think? Okay, hold on. Do you think they're gonna actually show like gross like hobos and what? Do we see that in the MCU, Gulliver?
We get a little bit into that area in the
Netflix
Iron
stuff.
Man 3 with our hobo Mandarin.
He's not a hobo. He's a rich actor.
Well, he's a down on his luck actor. To be fair.
All right.
I need to hear more about Fab. I'm hearing barely anything about Fab.
So Favreau, he's decent. Like I said, I feel like the problem of the movie directorial wise just comes down to the pacing of it. There's a lot of good sequences. There's a good beat to it. It just doesn't have the same sort of energy that Spider-Man 2 does all the way through. Like I said, I feel like Iron Man is kind of like broken up into these weird chunks. Like we have the sequence in the cave. We have him tinkering with the suit in the garage for like a big chunk of the screen time, which I still think to this day is a problem with the movie. Like, as compelling as Tony Stark is, he's, you know, it's like he can carry the film, but at the end of the day, I just feel like the film is, for something that kicked off the entire MCU, the film is surprisingly light on action and like really takes its time. And yeah, granted that can be good for character stuff, but I don't know. I just think it's I don't think it plays as well as some of the other movies that we got going forward in the MCU.
See, I kind of like that attention to detail. I feel like a lot of, you know, more current Marvel movies are more rushed in a lot of ways. Like we get this glossed over origin story, or, you know, we end up spending, you know, tons and tons of time, you know, flying around in, you know, exploding city or whatever it is, and just like no time like letting characters talk to each other and progress and grow and show any level of emotional depth. Like there's good bits in a lot of Marvel movies, and I still love them, but I don't think that there's that many movies that explore who Tony Stark is and explore, you know, his interaction with the rest of the world the way that you know, Iron Man 1 did. I think the attention to detail is really, really good. Just the environments around him. I mean, let me put it this way. Before the first Iron Man movie came out, I would, if somebody said, picture Iron Man right now, I would have to like mentally scroll through a list of like 100 different suits and like figure out, you know, which one do I want to like remember, like which one is the most iconic. Like, since the movie came out, like there is no other suit. That is the suit. Like I do not ever picture anything else. That's the icon that was created in that movie, the style, the flair, and how that imprinted on the other movies has stuck with me over the years. And I think that, you know, other movies could have gone, you know, more in that direction or less in that direction, whatever opinions you may have about that. But I think that was the perfect place in between reality and fantasy that just kind of stoked the nerd fire in the perfect way.
Of course you would have R2-D2 after that. Of course. Son of a
okay.
bitch. Well,
I'm sorry, man.
Jacob,
right.
what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Where are you coming down on?
Everybody actually raised very good arguments for and against the movie, but honestly, I did hear a bit more from Tiki regarding why Iron was the worst movie. But in contrast, Jacob Gulliver also made some very strong arguments, made some good arguments against it too. But in the end, I'd say that I'd go with Tiki on this one.
Well, I have to. Oh, let's see. Well, here's what just the critique it is to make sure that we highlight quality here. So, Gulliver, here's what I'm loving about yours. I think you're highlighting a lot of the great qualities about what Favreau is doing and how it kind of differentiates itself from various other superhero films. You know, it takes its time, the attention to detail. You know, these you know, the arc of Tony Stark, how strong it is. That's all. You're highlighting some really good qualities, but. A flaw in your presentation I'm finding is that, again, you overly complimented Spider-Man 2. There was a lot of like Alpha Molinus and Gem. I mean, I know it's true, but again, you don't want to go. I would avoid saying that. It's kind of an accepted truth. I mean, that was kind of the one it's kind of a big flaw I'm seeing in Gulliver's side.
Basically, the point of these debates.
If your biggest critique is that I also like films, like
it's not that you like it, it's that we're trying. No, it's
the point of this is to make. I mean, you can have your own opinion. Please, it's whoever makes the strongest argument, and you know, it's never good to help the other person in there.
Yeah.
I was saying that coupled with I only negative thing I heard, which was a good negative comment, was that Peter and Mary Jane, you know, not being, you know, their relationship not being as compelling as the Doc Ock stuff. And again, I wish there was more of that, is what I'm saying. And on Tiki's side of it, I'm hearing there's a good setting of the stage, kind of how big Spider-Man 2 was for the time. I think I think it was a mistake just kind of say it was a perfect movie, and we kind of had that argument kind of the whole poked in. I think it was just too wide an opening to be targeted with, which it was. And again, I think the biggest benefit I can say to Tiki's argument was that he in mentioning kind of the Raimi signatures, mentioning that the Doc Ock origin, the birth of Doc Ock, the really kind of Evil Dead-esque scene, and the Danny Elfman music. So I think that's if I heard more of that in Gulliver's, I might have gave it to him, but I gotta say with Tiki. So Tiki gets the first.
Woo! All right, I gotta say, Gulliver, your closing statement was brutal, and I thought for sure I had lost based on that. So good job, sir. Good job.
Sure.
It really was close. Again, I think it was Gulliver had a lot of great stuff about his. There's not enough on the offense. That's all.
Regardless of who wins, this is just fun.
Absolutely.
I'm here to have some fun and chit chat about Marvel movies. If I go home with the stain of shame on me, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, okay. It's not going to be a problem for me.
And don't worry, Gulliver. We won't judge you we won't judge you too harshly if you say something against even something that even you like. So
sure.
That's kind of the point. That's the kind of the point of these debates is to even if it's something you like, you have to get down brutally if necessary.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't tell somebody who loves candy, hate on Snickers. Snickers are okay, but they're worse candies. Come on. What do you want me to say?
100 grand my foot.
Gulliver.
I could descend into
talking down the haunted.
Yeah.
Dragon tricked me into talking down the haunted mansion.
Yeah. That was a thing that happened. Yes.
Sandy called in sick that day, so I was trying to set a trap for him, but he avoided it. Darn it. Okay, let's move on to round two. Okay, round two is when we get back up after we've fallen down, so to speak. Round two. What is the coolest one-on-one fight scene in the MCU? Parameters are this, very simple. Has to be one-on-one, no assistance, no major assistance. No one else kind of coming into the fray, saving someone else. Got to be one-on-one. Emphasis on cool. What is the coolest one-on-one fight scene? So I would keep in mind how this plays to a crowd. That being kind of the big hint I'll give this game.
Okay.
Emphasis on cool. So starting with Gulliver.
My choice is going to be Captain America versus Batroc, if you prefer, in Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. This is a fight that I think there needs to be more of in the MCU, because it is a fight that is just so well choreographed, very, very tight, very, very clean, but still with a very clear objective in mind the whole time. I mean, there's lots of scenes where we have big swinging around and there's lots of faceless Power Ranger putty monsters or creatures or whatever it is. That's the disposable man bad guy in movies where the heroes are ripping them apart, which is whatever. It's kind of what you expect, but the whole fight has clear objectives from beginning to end. Batroc is trying to remove Cap's shield at the beginning, and then he gets him to remove his helmet to make a an honor statement about it, and it's this great dialogue, this interchange between two really talented fighters the whole way through. And you have George St. Pierre, a famous fighter who's playing Batroc. And they took this total bullshit character from way back when, Batroc the Leaper, and they turned him into this awesome mercenary played by George St. Pierre. Even if he's only in it for a few minutes, it's just so memorable and so brutally efficient as a fight. That's what I love about this fight.
Nice. Okay, well, it was actually very hard for me to come up with this because, like Dragon said, especially going forward into Phase 2 and beyond, a crap ton of fight scenes in the MCU have more than two people involved. So that's really where I was kind of having some trouble. And so when cool was a factor, I kind of started thinking, what was the most crowd-pleasing fight that I've ever seen in a theater? And to be honest with you, out of the MCU, that didn't come from the most crowd-pleasing movie, but it did come in the middle of Age of Ultron. It is the centerpiece of Avengers Age of Ultron. I landed on the Iron Man Hulkbuster versus Hulk fight. This is a fantastic fight scene. I just rewatched it today, and I'm really glad I picked it. There's so much energy to it. Tony Stark has so many great one-liners. Of course, there's a brilliant, like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Just so much energy to it. I think the effects on the Hulk look absolutely terrific. The scale of him on the buildings, it's very fast-paced. It's really well done. And I guess I have things to say about Batroc, but I'll save it. But, just overall, I think Hulkbuster is one of those crazy things, like one of those crazy design concepts that we never thought we'd see, like when the MCU was first announced. And then when we saw it in the trailer, it was great. And I truly feel like that scene in Age of Ultron Ultron's not a great movie. It's really not. It really doesn't hold up all that well. But I do think that Hulkbuster, this fight in the centerpiece of that movie, is just a ton of fun. It's like I said, it's got great character stuff. I love how Bruce is underneath it all. I love the last beat of this fight, which is them going down the construction site, and then I love how we see Bruce's emotions as Bruce's emotions as the Hulk, as he sees the destruction that he's caused. That's a really powerful Hulk moment for me. Like, that is probably one of the most underrated Hulk moments, just showing the humanity of Banner in the Hulk form. And that just is a great kind of emotional moment to cap off this, like, awesome, cathartic, really fun, really quippy fight that's just classic Marvel. All right. I'm done.
Okay, gentlemen, in the immortal words of Wilson Fisk, I suggest each of you take your shot with the Battle Royale segment. So, guys, just launch into the assault, so to speak.
So my problem with the fight with Hulkbuster and Hulk is that everything in that fight is basically expected. There's no, like, unique turns and twists. It's basically like Superman versus Doomsday, like two really big dudes playing a game of punch face until one of them falls down. There's no real creativity there. It's the same as, like, also going back to Superman and Zod going through buildings forever. Like, how much shit can we destroy in the process of getting Hulk to stop being Hulk? And that's the frustrating part I have with that. There are some cool moments, but really I think the epic level that you're talking about just isn't there.
I think the difference between this and the Zod fight, though, is pretty substantial. And that is that the fact that Hulk is destroying all this shit is like a major plot point, not just of the scene, but of the rest of the movie going forward and even up to Civil War. Like, this is a big catalyst for a lot of what goes on in the MCU going forward. This is a huge scene plot-wise, whereas with the Zod stuff, I mean, we all know that the DCEU is a hot mess, and they just kind of, like, just made up the excuse of, like, well, gee, it's, Batman was pissed off at Superman because of it. It's like, I feel like the weight of what the Hulkbuster fight is much more felt here, if that makes any sense. Like, I agree with you to a certain extent that it is a bunch of, it is very much kind of like people bashing into each other and buildings being destroyed and whatnot. I just feel like it's pulled off in a much more tactful way than something like a Zack Snyder movie where it's just like, destruction. And I guess the big difference there, too, besides the plot stuff, is also the character stuff. As I said, Tony and Bruce are science bros in this movie, and Tony genuinely doesn't want to have this fight, and he's trying to talk Bruce down throughout the whole fight. And I think that's an incredibly compelling, story in the middle of this crazy fight scene.
Except that you said before, like, the witty quips and stuff were lines like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, which is funny, but I don't know if it's necessarily witty. I think he references the fact that there is civilian damage, grand total of once, I'm pretty sure, when he's like, I'll put him in this building where he'll be away of people.
Well, I'm not talking about the context of the scene itself. I'm talking about, like, the aftermath of the scene and going into, like, how...
Sure, but if it's the aftermath, then you can't call that as the catalyst. I'm just saying, like, Tony doesn't leap in front of anybody. He doesn't actively dissuade Hulk from going after anything particularly explodey. I don't think that's quite the level that you're looking for there.
Okay, let's
not to say that it's not fun when they throw each other through buildings, but like 2 times is enough, and it happens like 10 more times.
All right, let's get into Batroc. My problem with Batroc is that honestly, it just feels a little inconsequential to the movie, which is why I picked Hulkbuster, because Hulkbuster was kind of this big build-up between friends and whatnot, whereas Batroc, like you said, they picked just this random kind of like crappy villain and pluck him out of the depths of obscurity just to have. And I will agree with you, Gulliver. It is a very well choreographed fight. It honestly feels like something that's more akin to the Marvel Netflix universe than the MCU with the fight choreography, especially something like Daredevil. Certainly not Iron Fist, but definitely Daredevil. But like I said, my problem with it is it just happens like it goes by so fast. You barely even get any. You barely even really get who this guy is before the fight scene really takes place. And then it's kind of just quickly forgotten about. Like I said, I think the big meat of the Hulkbuster scene is, A, the fact that it's like 2 best friends going at it with each other, and Tony's desperately wanting to stop the Hulk. And B, like I said, like say what you will about like, the ramifications, like, you know, it's like I certainly think the events of the Hulkbuster scene set a precedent going forward in the story of Age of Ultron and beyond of, you know, the government wanting to look further into the Avengers and not setting the stepping stones to Civil War. Whereas, like I said, I think the Batroc stuff, it's good, it's a solid choreography, and I do agree with you that we could use more fight scenes of that style in the MCU. It just honestly doesn't stand out to me. Like, I had to look up who Batroc was. And I don't know, like I said, I think there's better fight scenes in Winter Soldier. I think the Bucky versus Cap on the Hello Carrier is a far better scene, a far more memorable scene with much more weight behind it than Cap and Batroc.
Anything in defense?
That's all expected, though. Yeah, what I love about Cap versus Batroc is that it's unexpected. Like in any other situation in a Marvel movie with like a group of mercenaries or a group of like captain characters, like I think of Thor 2 where the really big dude shows up and everybody's like, yeah, he's gonna take down Thor that we can't kill, and then he just like kills him in one hit. That's what I expected walking to that fight. Like, oh, the big scary mercenary is going to show up and Cap's just going to punch him in the face, and then that'll be the end of it. But instead, we get this like very precise, tight fight, and like this moment of like honor between 2 really skilled fighters in the middle, where Cap is like, okay, this guy's not a dick. Like, I'm going to treat him with some respect. I'm going to take off my helmet and look him in the eyes. Like, that's an incredible moment in a Marvel film, and it really shows something deep about who Cap is. And then the end of the fight, Batroc gets away. We don't know what happens to Batroc. He throws a grenade at Cap and Natasha, and we never see Batroc.
That's kind of one of my problems, Gulliver.
It's so fucking cool. Like, that never happens in Marvel movies.
You got a fact check something for you guys. We do know what happens to Batroc. He is taken in he's interrogated by the directors, believe it or not. He's interrogated by S.H.I.E.L.D., so they did in fact capture him.
But do we see that in the movie?
Yes, we do see that in the movie.
Okay, fair enough.
At what point?
We see it right in the scene where Cap's talking to Pierce, talking to Robert Redford's character. He puts it up on the screen like they're interrogating what happened. That's how they got the Nick Fury information.
Okay.
Little fact check. Okay.
All right. Let's see. I mean, I definitely can agree with you that the fight scene it's well choreographed and it is kind of unexpected. But like I said, I just think in terms of memorability, I think you're really just kind of going with a personal taste thing here of, you know, like it's just a really well done.
Like great fights.
Yeah, but what I'm saying But what I'm saying is that I feel like my fight has much more weight. Again, I want to call attention. This blew me away when I rewatched it because I kind of forgot about this moment. But I want to call attention to Hulk's reaction to the destruction at the end of the fight, because it is one of the most moving and heartbreaking scenes that we ever see the Hulk in the MCU, where he's just so full of remorse. Like, you totally see Banner show through in that moment. And I feel like that says volumes of what I'm trying to say of the ramifications going forward that this fight entailed.
Okay. Let me before we consult with Jay Well, let me weigh in on some stuff, and we'll hear from him, then we'll reveal some results. Okay, so You started with Gulliver. So Gulliver, I think it really sold kind of the cool factor with the unexpectedness. How it's they have that great unexpected character, but like the whole like what a man with. Are you just a man with a shield? And of course, he takes the helmet off, saying he's not going to fight with the shield. That moment there, which you highlight, and that look in the eyes, man. Again, that's really cool, and I expect kind of like a Bondian thing in a Marvel movie almost. I'm just using that for point of comparison, just kind of what it read as to me. Of course, mentioned kind of the choreography and the kind of highlighting the reasons as to why it might be the coolest fight. My problem is I'm hearing. Again, you're sticking to the cool factor, which is part of the question. I'm just saying I was hoping to hear more stuff like why this appeals to the crowd more, so kind of the audience reaction. I was just kind of hoping to hear. That's not the only thing I'm taking away from. I'm just saying that I think there's a lot of great strength about the cool factor. So, and the fact that it's not a disposable man fight. I thought that was a great. It's not like the giant monster disposable.
That was a good point.
That was a great point. Okay, going to Tiki. So Tiki, I think you played to the crowd. I think you really did play to the crowd aspect of the question, kind of mentioning all kind of the cool, various cool elements. I think you're a little bit more descriptive with the fight, kind of mentioning a few moments here and there, like the destruction, the ending with the Hulk, because that does count the fight, because then the last knockout punch is like. Kind of mirrors the Avengers bit where he punches Thor out. Honestly, just like the immediacy.
Right. Yeah.
So, of course, he addressed the kind of like the Hulkbuster is kind of like a fan wish list item that did that did happen there. Of course, the Hulk effects. I think he listed a lot of good qualities there. Let's hear what I honestly was kind of lacking. I was lacking kind of the for Tiki's before we move on here. See what Jake Wild has to feed there. Honestly, I would have liked to hear more of just kind of. I'm hearing reasons why I'm not hearing. I'm trying to find best how to word this.
You're hearing about consequences, but not about the fight itself.
Yeah, I think it kind of sums it up. I mean, it is. I think Gulliver made some points. I didn't really hear retorts to them. That's kind of. I didn't really hear it was all expected and kind of like the Superman Doomsday. I knew you responded to the Superman Doomsday thing. I didn't really hear quite the recovery from that. I heard like kind of changing to a different subject.
Fair enough.
So, Jay, where are you coming down? What any notes for him before we can get into the judgment?
It's actually kind of a hard pick. I mean.
Really good fight. Let's say that it's a really good fight.
Both of them are really good fights, though. I mean, I would not have gone with George with Batroc as my own pick, but I would have gone with what Tiki suggested, the Bucky and myself. But that's actually going to be my pick if I was going to join this. But I honestly don't know that. And admittedly, you raised a lot of good points about that one. And Tiki has raised a good point that his is like just a giant, just more of a spectacle and crowd pleaser. It's kind of hard to go with, but I mean, I think both of them raised equally valid points, but in the end, I think then defense in a way.
Well,
but both of them, it's kind of hard for me to decide on this one, honestly.
All right. Well, here's where I'm coming down. I'm gonna put the hammer down. I'm gonna put the hammer down.
You want to put the hammer down?
I sure do.
Yeah, put Mjolnir down, Dragon. Or are you worthy? Unless you're not worthy, then never mind.
I'm putting it down like Division, all casual like.
Oh god.
So I'm putting it. Here's where I'm laying on it. Honestly, it's based on the fact that just looking at it here again, it's a really close fight. You both answered portions of the question very strongly. Again, really strong on both sides here. But the one thing I'm just kind of noticing in comparison is that honestly, I think Gulliver took better shots at Tiki's argument. So I have to give it to Gulliver because I heard barely anything against Cap versus Batroc, just like it's inconsequential in the movie. Which I mean, the fact that it comes back later on, it's not. It's kind of it's somewhat integral. So I gave it to Gulliver.
I can understand that. That's fine. All
right.
right.
Right now it's tied 1-1.
Okay.
Very dramatic.
I was actually going to go with Gulliver as well.
Right. Okay, round 3. Ready for this? Round 3, the decider. Well, not really a start because only 2 players are over. They're both going to the next round, so we know that much.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so in honor of Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, which is coming, Tiki, is it coming? It's coming to California, right?
California Adventure, yes.
Right, coming to California Adventure.
I can confirm that Disney World still just has the regular Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Yes. So in honor of that coming to Disney real soon, actually I want to say about what is it, like
About 2
16
weeks.
days?
Yeah, about 2 weeks roughly.
Yes.
We might be getting cast member previews before then, so we might see some video before then.
Yeah, right as my birthday. So here's the question: which Marvel Cinematic Universe property should get a Disney attraction next? In the frame of Guardians of the Galaxy, now is an attraction there or a forthcoming attraction. What other Marvel property should get an attraction next? So anything. Basically, this is really a broad to interpret one. So like anything, you can do anything you want, just as an attraction, just as long as it's not a land. It has to be one singular attraction. I need like a vague concept. So you don't need to have the whole thing worked out, but if you did, it would help. And I really want to hear the crux of what I want to hear is why this property, why this whichever character or property you've chosen should be next. Why this one deserves to be next, and just kind of give me like a general idea of what you would like as this attraction. Okay,
Gotcha.
Go over.
So I'm going to go with Doctor Strange because I'm very biased. I've loved Doctor Strange since I first saw Doctor Strange, and I think what I love about Doctor Strange is the flavor of everything that surrounds him. Mystic, pan-dimensional spaces. I think I'm kind of picturing, rather than like rides or like specific attractions, I'm picturing like this huge space with all these different like places within it you can go, kind of like more in the vein of like the Harry Potter, but without so much of like the commercialized, by our wizard bullshit.
Right.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So like
shots fired.
this kind of huge space with like all kinds of things you can interact with in like strange spaces. You could use like great lighting and old school smoke and mirror tricks to like make distances seem farther or closer. Play with like people's perceptions of like mind and space. Hyper modernized, high technology. Funhouse, essentially. That's kind of what I'm going for. Like take the old school ideas and just take them to like 21st century top tier production values. And I think it's so imaginative and wild that just like interacting with it and walking around in it would be an experience of its own. It's like going to an art gallery that's on another planet. That's my vision for this idea.
Now, I just want to clarify, just to make sure we're on point here. So you're essentially, it sounds like you're saying basically, what if the Sanctum Sanctorum were like a fun house you can go into? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean that sounds freaking awesome to me.
Just want to clarify, just make sure it's like one singular thing and not a land. Okay,
Gotcha.
sounds all good.
Right. I'm picturing this like big space you can interact and walk around in with kind of like the cool, Jack Kirby and Dick Steranko spaces with
like 70s album cover.
Yeah, like pan-dimensional like planetscapes and weird cool stuff that looks otherworldly that you can walk around and interact with. And that's kind of my general vision for the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, folks, let me spin you a tale about why Captain America absolutely deserves and needs to be the next Marvel attraction. Captain America was the Marvel character that started it all. He dates back to the 1940s. He is the one. He is the ambassador of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not only that, but I feel like Captain America is a character that can fit into so many different genres and so many different realms that an attraction based off of him could have a lot of different thematic elements tied into the MCU. So what I'm picturing for my Captain America attraction is actually something that's set in the 1940s. Let's explore that timeline a little bit more. Let's explore the first Avenger timeline. Because Disney, one thing Disney is really good at is setting time and place. So if you have a very specific setting, like World War II, and granted, this wouldn't be its own land, but I could see them like putting it in, let's say, Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom, or an Epcot in the American Experience, or something like that, where it's very much tied to the American theme of it all. And so essentially what my attraction would be like, the exterior and what you'd walk into and the queue and everything would be Stark Expo 39. or whatever year Stark Expo was in Captain America: The First Adventure. I'm sorry, I don't quite remember. Can someone help me out with that?
Well, if I'm right, I'm just trying. I keep going to the opening of the First Avenger with the Red Skull thing, which I want to say was in '42. So I forget like how many years after that's set, if that's even the same year or not. But it's
Okay.
42, which Captain was created in '41. I think the movie set around 42, 43.
Okay, sure. Let's just call it Stark Expo 42. So you're wandering around Stark Expo 42, and of course this is all just the queue, and you're seeing kind of this like retro futurism, and you're kind of like, and that gives you of course a taste of Iron Man, kind of other things within the MCU. Then you go into something that's very, very specific. You go into a Captain America museum. Now, keep in mind, I actually kind of want to adjust this a little. I'm sorry, but so let's say that this is like 1950s. This is like the 1950s Stark Expo, and you're going into the Captain America Museum. And, of course, the Captain America Museum has all kinds of different Steve Rogers memorabilia. It's kind of like the Carousel of Progress in a way, where you see different time periods of Captain America.
Okay, so all the Expo stuff's been thrown out, right?
Oh, God, I am...
So you change that. I'm just tracking it here. So the Stark Expo 42 is going there, just in the 1950s Captain America Museum. That's your attraction, right?
No. I'm saying the Captain America Museum is in Stark Expo in the 1950s.
Okay.
So in the 1950s, of course, you'd have even more of that kind of like retro futurism, like kind of optimism vibe to it. It'd be post-war. That's the idea. This is going to be kind of an attraction that travels back in time to some of Cap's greatest adventures and greatest journeys. And so the Captain America Museum is a good kind of transitioning point into that through the Stark Expo. And why not? Let's just say Howard Stark invented time travel. Why not? Look, I don't know the semantics of like, all I know is that I think it'd be a really cool idea to have an attraction that you go through the line, you see the history of Captain America, and then you go into the ride, and somehow you're in not just the Captain America adventure, but a World War II Captain America adventure, complete with the Red Skull and, soldiers, and Captain America leading the army and whatnot, and the boot camp, and Tommy Lee Jones, and complete with the 1940s kind of period piece atmosphere and streets and whatnot.
Let me just see if I'm interpreting this right. Okay. So make sure I'm on the money here. So you're saying like you're basically going like I'm speculating here, so correct me if I'm wrong. So you're on like some sort of automated thing where it's taking you through a tour of the museum, and you're hearing like effects and stuff of like
the queue. The queue is the museum. So the queue is Stark Expo and then the museum, and the museum is kind of like the pre-show.
All right.
And then your ride vehicle would be a Jeep. Much like Indiana Jones Adventure, it'd be an enhanced motion vehicle, so you'd be able to like feel the bumps and whatnot. And your ride vehicle would be a Jeep, and you would go through. Basically, it'd kind of be like there'd be different transitions into like it'd kind of be like a best of Captain America, like Captain America's greatest adventures. So every scene would be like a scene of Captain America, like like we'd see him, like let's say we'd see Steve Rogers, like holding the grenade, and then we'd see some stuff from the propaganda years, and then we'd see the Red Skull and the death of Bucky and all the kind of big, all kind of like the big hallmark moments that defined Captain America.
How is that being presented?
Just through every scene is just animatronics and whatnot.
Okay, that's what I need to know. If it's animatronics or screen projections,
It's animatronics. Let's keep this as physical as possible.
All right, okay.
Yeah. So it's a journey back in time through the greatest moments of Captain America's career. Okay. I'm sorry I was a little long-winded in that, but...
It was allowed.
I have a lot of ideas for it.
Let me know when it's my turn.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I love me some Cap. The problem is I have been to a 1950s themed diner, and I have been to a museum with artifacts from the 1940s and 50s. And I think that's really all that you're selling in the Captain America exhibit. The character of Captain America is fantastic. I love him. I love seeing like his history, but I think beyond that, I don't think there's much to like interact with, and I don't think it's worth a trip, you know, across the country to go and see something like this. I don't think it has the same, you know, panache and pizzazz that something like a Doctor Strange would. And to that note, I need to bring up a quote from the man himself, Mr. Stan Lee.
If Doctor Strange was going to perform a feat of magic, I didn't want him to say abracadabra or something that everybody knew. So I would make up things like, by the hoary hosts of Agath, so let it be. Or by the shades of the shadowy seraphim, and they didn't mean anything, but I thought they sounded good. And the funny thing about it, years later, when I used to lecture at colleges, during the questions and answer period, inevitably, some student would get up and say, Stan, we've been studying those incantations, and we found that they were based on ancient Druid writings. It broke their heart when I would tell them, no, I just dreamed them up because they sounded good.
So my point here is that Doctor Strange has a flavor that's unlike any other Marvel hero. The kind of like the energy and the style, the panache of this character goes beyond, you know, a simple period piece movie. And I think that's something that really, really works for me. If we hire like, you know, 20 amazing set designers and artists to like create this incredible space with otherworldly things, get some incredible special effects people to make, you know, cool things that mess with your mind and really like, you know, show off the potential of, you know, technology to really look like magic. That's something that's
what
really
you're pitching is a
appealing.
really elaborate Halloween Horror Nights maze.
Sure, if you
you're
want to
not
call
pitching
it
a Disney attraction, and that's gonna be my main kind of argument against your project right here. Of course, I have more experience in the armchair Imagineering realm, so I'm gonna try not to lord that over you too much.
You've entered his church, Gulliver.
But frankly, Gulliver, I think your attraction would be a crowd control nightmare. Like, I don't understand how you're gonna get like all these people like through the attraction, and if people can just like observe it like and go through it, like it's like, is it gonna be like one big space? It's like the semantics of it just feel all out of whack to me. Like, I feel like you would have done a much better, like you would have had a much more solid argument with less holes in it if you would have just done a traditional ride. I understand the need, I understand the desire to not do a traditional ride. But here's the thing with Cap that I think my ride gets down. First of all, it's realistic. Disney has used enhanced motion vehicles to perfection. That's something that the company can reliably do. And second of all, Gulliver, you mentioned that there's nothing but 1940 stuff, but I disagree. That's the reason I have the Stark Expo, to have the retro futurism and kind of like the the Captain America Museum would kind of simulate Carousel of Progress to a certain extent. So we'd have kind of like that Tomorrowland 1960s Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow vibe to it as well, and that would contrast against the wartime stuff. And so you get kind of like this weird, this really interesting kind of mix of the two, the retro futurism mixed with kind of like the action and heroics of the war that kind of blend in to create this really cool, really unique Marvel experience. And Doctor Strange would certainly be a unique Marvel experience. I'm just, I have so many questions about the semantics, Gulliver. So many questions.
Sure. I mean, if you really wanted to, if it was, I don't work for Marvel. I don't work as like a designer for the space. And, honestly, I'm pitching something that I think would be
like
cool.
A really cool, like, traveling art exhibit.
If it was more feasible to do it with like a ride, that can still, you can still have stuff that's messing with people's minds and like cool big spaces and interesting art pieces and like, animatronics if you want. Like, if that's something that sells, that still fits with the theme and that's fine. The retro future aspect, like I've seen footage of world fairs. I've been to museums where like this is a spy camera that was disguised as a cigarette lighter. Like you can see that kind of shit like in regular ass museums. I don't know that we need an exhibit for it, and I don't know if it's worth traveling to get to. Now, to be fair, I live in Minnesota, which is like as far away from a Disney attraction as possible in both directions.
Right.
So the number of times I have been to something on this scale is maybe once when I was like 4. So if you're talking about semantics, like whatever, I just think that there's a lot more interesting things to explore in the Doctor Strange space.
And Gulliver, what you're pitching, like I said, it sounds more like a traveling art exhibit or something like that, like a really cool, like, you know, like movie promotional tie-in that travels around. Like I know Jurassic World has a traveling exhibit that shows off like the
Marvel
animatronics.
experience.
Yeah, and the Marvel, right. So what you're pitching sounds more like something like that, which I would totally go to. I'd totally be down for. However, as a permanent Disney attraction, like I said, I kind of scratched my head at it. And I don't know, man. I just think the Captain America stuff, like I said, by having the Stark Expo contrasted with the World War II stuff, it would fit in. Like you would be able to fit that stuff into any number of different Disney parks. You could put it in Tomorrowland. You could put it in Epcot. You could put it in, like I said, you could put it in Future World in Epcot or in the American Adventure in Epcot. It's multi-versatile, and Captain America, as I said, is a total linchpin, and I feel like the attraction would go a long way towards showcasing Captain America. You would get these great set pieces, like, you know, you would get Captain America crashing the plane into the ice, and
can you really say that's cooler looking than the Mirror Dimension?
I could say it's more practical than the Mirror Dimension to pull it off.
Well, sure, but technology magic, projectors, smoke, use VR elements like
Nah. VR is horrible in theme parks. Okay. I'm just gonna tear you down for that right now. I've witnessed it firsthand. VR is a freaking nightmare. I don't need it. We don't need VR in theme parks.
I'm asking, how would you pull off showing like these big set pieces from Captain America, especially just focus on this one. Like, how would you pull off the Cap landing? You know, basically Cap falling into the ice. How would you?
Oh, that's easy. Have you ever like King Kong? The King Kong attraction used to have, and this was like way back in the '80s. Used to have a straight up helicopter just crash right next to the tram. There's ways of which you do it. You just rig a plane up, and you have kind of like a bar that you can't really see, but the bar is holding the plane, and the plane crashes down, and you're in the ice, and the plane, like, imagine like you're on the Jeep, and the plane is crashing down, and you see the plane crash down into the ice right in front of you. Like, how dramatic would that be? And that would be like the last moment of the ride before you get back to the present time period. And so that would be, you know, and then you'd get kind of like a somber ending of like Captain America sacrificed himself to save us all. And then,
is he Jesus in this metaphor?
Yes.
Okay,
Captain America is the Jesus of the MCU. Yes, I would say so. Yes, he died for your sins, Gulliver.
Okay,
the way you said it was just like, you know, we must uphold and respect the captain because he died for us.
Honestly, I remember the ending of the 1990 Captain America movie where it's like, we must pay tribute to Captain America. Thank you, Captain America, wherever you are.
I think, the one, before we wrap up, just one last thing I have to say. The one thing that would have made me like your idea more would be if there was like a swing dance hall where you could dance with somebody who looks like Haley Atwell, but that was not part of your pitch.
How is that practical? That's not practical at all.
Okay, hold it. I gotta clarify two things with each before I can go any further, okay? Tiki, I need to know, are you pitching a flashback or time travel? I need answers. This could be all the marbles for it. I need to know.
Right. Let's do flashback.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Because I don't want to get into like the comic book semantics of like, well, Howard Stark didn't invent time travel. That's just ridiculous. So let's just go with flashbacks.
Okay, now Gulliver's one thing I got to ask you, and then I think we'll have all we need. The way people are traveling inside the sanctum, are they doing it on foot, or do they have like kind of like a tram sort of thing? Like, or how are they getting around in this place? Is they walking around exploring all sorts of different methods?
Honestly, I think, you know, I'm not a designer, but I think it's whichever way makes the effects more cool. I think if it makes the effects more realistic, or if it adds to the illusion to be in a cart or, you know, some kind of vehicle, then, you know, do it. If, you know, it's more experiential.
It's not about the illusion, it's about the practicality.
Sure. I mean, but to me, it's all about, you know, the experience itself, and whichever one works best for that, I think, is the appropriate choice.
All right.
Okay. Boy, this is our headliner for a reason, folks.
Yeah, that was tight. That was intense.
Oh boy, this is going to be hard to sort through. It's going to take us a moment here. Okay, let's just break it down here. So let's start with Gulliver.
Should I just go get a sandwich and come back, or no? Okay.
I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
Sorry.
Don't be a wise guy. Okay. So let's see. I'm loving a lot of Gulliver's idea here, and I'm hearing some strong arguments for Doctor Strange. Of course, like kind of the basically building up kind of the set design. Pretty much, you really kind of essentially what I'm hearing is give people the Doctor Strange experience. You know, as like they're walking to a sanctorum, like they're putting the writers in Strange's shoes, which that's kind of what I'm hearing. He's really selling me on kind of the faithfulness to the comic as well as the movie. You know, with the Kirby Steranko look. I did hear some arguments brought up against it. Of course, I did hear some shots. I would have liked to hear again more practicalities of how certain things would be achieved. Again, I know we don't really need to go like. I want to make it clear, even though a lot of these points are brought up about like practically how you do it. I want to make it clear that again, it's a vague concept mixed with why the character deserves to get the ride. Mm-hmm. Like be the next to get the ride. So I'll factor those in, but they won't really overpower anything. So,
okay.
Just based on the fact I didn't hear a lot of like how you contact a lot of people, like how you contract a lot of this mind bending looking stuff. That's not going to be a point against Gulliver. I would have liked a little bit more firmness on like whether the walking or the. I know it was kind of a dealer's choice response, so we'll see how that. I'm going to factor that in.
Okay.
Tiki side of things.
Yo.
So with Tiki, I think Gulliver started strong with the Doctor Strange kind of it all, like why he needs like Doctor Strange deserves it, and I think the Stanley quote did go a long way as to kind of really cement like kind of the importance of Strange, kind of the atmosphere of Strange. I think Tiki stuck to the Captain America guns throughout. However, obviously a big kind of red mark on Tiki's would be changing the pitch midway go. Just kind of going from the Stark X to kind of a mixture, and then like changing the timeline and doing like it wasn't clear about the flashback till the end. I mean, I would have liked just basically I wish it would have been mentioned. The Q should have been mentioned right out the gate. That the Stark X and everything would be kind of the exterior and the Q. I mean, we didn't. That's an important detail because initially I'm thinking the whole ride is just essentially it's kind of what Doctor Strange.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. I'm pretty sure I brought up that the Stark Expo was the Q.
You basically pitched that the whole ride was basically a museum.
I'm saying I would have liked to know.
I don't think I pitched that at all. I pitched that the ride would be like an EMV ride through the best moments of Captain America, and the Q would be the museum.
First of all, I don't think you used EMV, but even if you did, you have to explain what EMV stands for.
Enhanced motion vehicle, Indiana Jones, dinosaur. It's one of the most popular ride vehicles that Disney uses. It's very practical and very efficient.
Okay, so I'm saying, I mean, I would have liked to know if it was, they had this Q thing going on. I'm saying it was clarified in the fight. I'm not saying it wasn't explained. I'm saying it was explained midway through that, okay, this thing is not just basically a museum version of somewhat like the Doctor Strange, that the attraction be, okay, a Stark Expo, which then turned to a museum, but no, then it's like that's the Q. I felt there was a lot of change-ups as the thing was going.
Sure.
So that's on the factor. And so, Jacob, where are you coming down this? Like, what feedback do you have for him?
Well, admittedly, the whole changing and lack of clarity on Tiki's part kind of did mar his a little bit, but Tiki did raise a good point of like the practicality of some of Gulliver's ideas. Though Gulliver, then again, at the end, Gulliver did correct a lot of it and strengths for his. That's where I'm going for that. Quite frankly, neither one of them raised a lot of good strengths, but spent a lot of time tearing each other's down.
All right.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. That's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, all right. Wiley, you have anything else you want to say before I make the final judgment?
On to your ruling dragon.
Okay. All right, here's what I'm coming down on. So a big thing I noticed in the fight is that I think Gulliver had a lot more. Tiki did argue practicalities, and he argued them very well. We're all very proud. He argued him very well.
Thank you. I'm glad you're proud of me and how much I know Imagineering.
Let's put it on the fridge. We're all very proud, Tiki. I get that. But
I get a gold star and an A+.
Again, I think the Breakout, I think the biggest kind of benefit of what Tiki had to say was that the fact that this could be put in a lot of different sections of parking. It could be in Tomorrowland. It could be in the Liberty. It's Liberty Square.
Liberty Square. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be going a lot of different places.
In the American Adventure.
Yes, but I think Gulliver had some really kind of like little scratches that then got infected as the thing went on. A little. Basically, I think the line that kind of sold that really hurt your argument, Tiki, is we don't need another museum. We don't need a museum in a theme park when we used to see a museum somewhere else.
It's not a museum. It's a queue. A lot of queues are themed around museums.
So I would have liked to hear kind of a defense to that. I would like to hear Captain. That's where you really stick up for kind of Cap's character with that.
All right. I hear you. I hear you.
It's what I'm coming down on. I'm gonna. I think Gulliver did an excellent job in just kind of selling people in kind of the strange experience, and he was a really strong defense for his. I'm gonna have to give to Gulliver.
You just deny Captain America a point, Dragon. You should be ashamed of yourself as an American.
Don't
For what it's worth,
I'd
still totally ride your ride.
Sure,
I'd still totally go to that place.
And I honestly, as soon as I was like my intro was crap, and I was like, well, I'm done. I'm not winning this point. Only thing left to do from here is just fight an uphill battle that I'll probably lose.
It's like he slipped on a banana peel during the race.
I know,
right?
Right.
Back up. Again, he says he's got to keep running. There's a big little space in it. Right, so right now the scoreboard is 2 Gulliver, 1 Tiki.
Oh my god.
Now we're going into the most tense part of any Disney debate. We're going into the speed round.
Oh dear.
Gulliver, I warn you, the speed round has been known to break many men, especially Sandy. Sandy Claw is one of our associates. He's faced a few speed rounds, and honestly, he's never come back right. So, let me see if I can just summarize this very.
I've come close in these, mind as well.
Yeah, you have come close in these, Jacob.
This is what separates the boys from the men, or, well, in Gabby's case, the boys from the men to the girls, like the women. I don't know. It separates people.
Good job. Good job.
So it's essentially here's how it breaks down. Go very simple. Is that there's a timer here, and when you hear the R2D2 sound, that's a reminder, as well as when the time runs out on the screen, that okay, time to speak is over, and we're going to go to the next time segment. So basically, it's a sandwich here: 30-second opening, 15-second rebuttal. That's where you get your shots in. And a 30-second close in which you either make any more good statements to yours or any more like real digs against the other guys. 30-second closes. Let this swing wild. So again, 30, 15, 30. You got that?
Sounds good.
30, 15, 30. Sounds good.
Okay.
And also, can you explain who goes first and whatnot, Dragon?
Oh yes, that's important.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
One other thing explaining to Gulliver and the folks at home playing the home game is that when essentially whoever speaks after I say the question, you should wait till the end of the question. If it's like a question that's asking you to make a choice or pick someone, whoever speaks first has to go first, or whoever says the one that of the two that are mentioned. Like I might mention 2 names, you're gonna have to pick one, and whoever picks one first goes first, but they get theirs first. You understand?
I guess so. I'm nervous now, but
whoever speaks first gets the pick. That's kind of even if you take your time and think about it. Again, the other guy might take yours, but at the same time, that guy's gonna have to go first with all these time limits.
That's a catch-22.
All right, so
speaks first goes first.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we're.
I'm so stoked.
Of course, no one knows what these questions are because, of course, they've been randomized. They've been kind of debated upon. So again, no one knows what these are except for Moy.
Okay.
So, question numero uno. You ready?
Yep.
There'll be 5 speed round questions, by the way, unless there's a real tiebreaker scenario, which we'll have one.
To both of us, or
yes, to you and Tiki.
Okay, so and then we each get a chance to go. Yes, or are we talking over each other?
Yeah, well, each of you will will be like 30 seconds, and the other guy gets 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and the other guy gets 15. Yeah, you get it?
Cool.
Okay. Question number 1, first speed round question.
Oh boy.
And remember, whoever says it first, and you gotta wait till the full question's done.
Okay.
Best Stan Lee cameo ever pre-Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Not counting that one.
Big Hero 6.
Are you going to defend that
No,
one?
no,
No,
yeah,
Am I
supposed to-
yeah.
Waiting on me. Okay, so you're waiting on me to come up with one. I'm going to go with Thor 1.
Thor 1. Oh god, I don't
Okay, so
even remember
just
his cameo in Thor 1.
Just to clarify for the folks at home, that's the hammer lifting, right? That's the one you're going with. Like, did we get it?
Yeah, the truck trying to pull the hammer out of the dirt.
Oh right, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dragon, it's 30, 15, 30, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I will go ahead and start with Big Hero 6.
And whenever you speak, the clock goes off.
Okay.
That's the last thing. Whenever you speak, that's when the time starts.
Okay, sounds good. I will get started then. So, folks, I vividly remember when I saw Big Hero 6, I legitimately didn't know if it was going to have a post-credits or not. It was a big mystery because Disney movies are kind of hit and miss or having post-credits. And when I saw the portrait of Stan Lee in Fred's house, I kind of assumed that that was our obligatory Big Hero 6 cameo. But no, we get a whole monologue from Stan Lee. We get him showing up as the father of the main character and maybe in the sequel as a secondary character himself. It is awesome. It is the most involved Stan Lee ever gets.
Okay, Gulliver.
All right, my turn?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the bit in Thor 1 where everybody's trying to pull the hammer out of the dirt it leads to a culmination with Stan Lee appearing and kind of delivering this great, one-liner, did we get it, or whatever it was that he says. Like, that moment is, like, the scene could have just gone like, okay, whatever, these guys are doing it, but then it's capped off, doesn't stop the same way that other ones are, not like just thrown in as like a little pepper thing. That's what I really like about this cameo.
Okay, rebuttals. 15-second
Oh,
rebuttals.
sorry. Jacob, your cameo is like Stan Lee reacting something and giving a clever quip, and that's something that he does in like practically all his cameos. This is him delivering an epic monologue about superhero underpants. How amazing is that? This breaks new ground!
I don't remember all that much about Big Hero 6 except that it was a rehash of the plot of Iron Man 2. And so I don't really know that your cameo sells all that well, other than it was a good moment in a pretty bad movie.
Oh, jeez. God, you didn't hit below the belt there. I like Big Hero 6.
That hurt.
Okay.
Sorry, man. If you want to talk about the comparison between Iron Man 2 and Big Hero 6, we'll talk about them later.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, as I said, Stan Lee, basically all his cameos are just him showing up and quipping. And with Big Hero 6, it not only makes him the father of the main character, or one of the main characters, it also subverts expectations. Like, holy crap, his cameo isn't just the portrait. It's him, and he's got a whole monologue. Oh, my God. And it also sets up Stan Lee could be a supporting character in the sequel, which is such a ridiculous and exciting prospect. I genuinely hope that we see Stan Lee in the series. It's just a really cool, really nice bit of fan service.
The thing I really like about the Thor cameo is that the character, Stan Lee caps off a scene that could have just been a throwaway scene. He turns it into something that's more memorable and more exciting. There's so many Stan Lee cameos where it's just like they cut to him once in the middle of the scene and he has a one-liner, but there's not really any other purpose for that scene to be there. It's just like tossed in. And that's the part that I don't like, but what I think makes this one stand out. I'll see the rest of my time.
Gulliver being cocky, just not even using all his time. Ooh.
Okay.
Interesting tactic.
Well, where are you coming down on?
Shit, I realize there's a better one. Well, okay, too late now.
Jacob, where are you coming down on?
This is actually pretty interesting, though. I mean, like, I honestly think Tiki made the stronger arguments for his. I mean, arguments for his, though. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Tiki, like, arguments made more sense, and like, why the Stanley cameo in Thor was just like more of a throwaway instead of like. Well, technically, they're kind of all throwaways, and
Except for the Big Hero 6 one.
Hero 6 one's kind of is a throwaway considering it's at the end of the credits, but still,
I'm realizing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What are you realizing?
I'm realizing there's a better one that I should have picked.
Yep.
That will happen.
But
Yeah.
Go Tiki on this one.
Okay. Well, here's where I'm coming down on. I'm going to have to, based on the fact I really didn't hear, enough against Big Hero 6. I just heard like kind of a, it was about the movie versus the, I heard something about Big Hero 6, but not against the Big Hero 6 cameo. Because let's face it, both cameos, I mean, they're, as Wild pointed out there.
Thor's not exactly a spring chicken of a Marvel movie either.
Well, the point is...
Yeah, but you said I had to be mean to win.
Well, keep in mind, this can backfire, because I was like...
I think I saw that on a wartime poster once. You have to be mean to win.
I was famously, like, I famously took, like, a really harsh shot against Walt Disney in a debate last debate. And, yeah, that didn't turn out so well for me.
Yep.
No, the point is, looking at both of these choices, they both are kind of coming at the end of something. One's at the end of a scene, one's at the end of the movie. They both are somewhat, inconsequential. But I think Tiki highlighted more reasons, more. Yeah. I think Tiki talked about his more. However, he did get repetitive at the end. Though he kind of repeated what he said.
Yeah, I hear
that. What happens on the speed round? It's just everyone gets panicked for the last couple seconds.
Right.
However, I want to commend.
Give it on to Tiki. He deserves it.
Sure, I want to commend Gulliver. I think he saved his the most towards the end. I think that's where he kind of made his points. I think he didn't falter during it. He kind of stuck to his guns.
Okay.
So I'm giving it to Tiki. So it's tied right now. It's 2-2.
2-2. Okay.
Okay. Next question. Let's see. Oh, this was a good one. All right, now guys, remember, wait till the end of the question because I know you might want to just really jump on this one. You hear the two names. It's gonna be one of those two name questions.
Okay. Okay.
When you hear it, you just want to. Wait till like kind of the pause at the end, and you jump into it.
Gotcha.
When Steve Rogers hangs up the shield,
ooh,
who should become the next Captain America? Bucky or Falcon?
Falcon.
Damn, no, so insane.
Tiki said it first, so Tiki gets
Okay. You ready? So yeah, you have Bucky.
Tiki's got to go first, too. So
that's fine. That's totally fine. All right.
All right.
Bucky has killed so many people. Do you really, even under mind control, do you really want someone who's like killed all those innocent people to be representing the moniker of Captain America? No. Falcon is a good guy. He's a humble guy. He stands for what's right. There's a reason why him being introduced to Captain America is the opening scene of The Winter Soldier. It sets the stage so well, not just for Cap's character, but the MCU going forward. He's the perfect person to fill Cap's shoes. Absolutely.
All right, so Captain America has always been a reflection of the world that we live in. He became Nomad in the 70s, and he became part of the Secret Avengers during Civil War. Bucky is this tortured guy who's looking for redemption, and the culture and the frustrating lack of support for marginalized communities right now is very tortured. And I think Bucky would do a better job of representing the common person than Falcon would in that sense, because Falcon is an ideal rather than a reality.
I'm going to need a moment for that one. This is a strategy we use here, Jacob. See. Okay. there's a difference between being broken and being a broken guy and just straight up being a murderer, and that's what Bucky is. And I don't care how much under mind control he was. Like I said, Falcon is just a stand-up dude, and Falcon's had his fair share of adversity too. He's a war vet, you know. He knows his stuff.
I agree that Falcon is a war vet and he's a stand-up guy, but in a lot of ways he's just a retread of Steve Rogers. I think it would be more interesting to see a character that would be, show a little bit more pathos, show a little bit more intensity, and that's part of why I want to go towards Bucky for this.
Now I'm going to take shots at the actor. I simply just do not think that Sebastian Stan is as good of an actor as the guy who plays Falcon, which I completely forget, which I realize is probably going to hurt my argument. But that guy is just filled with charisma, whereas Sebastian Stan is just like, I'm angry and pissed off, and I'm also angry and pissed off. And Steve, you're my best friend, but I'm also angry and pissed off saying it. I don't want that guy as my Captain America. Give me the smiley, winky Falcon guy. He's awesome. Anthony Mackie.
Did you figure that out, or did you look it up?
No, I didn't look it up. You can see my browser right here. I didn't look it up. I'm screen sharing my whole screen.
I knew he had a phone or something. All right, forget it. Okay, anyway, go on.
Trying to think how I want to phrase this.
Take all the time you need.
Kind of the opposite of a speed round, but sure.
Well, I mean, when you get into it.
Yeah. I think, Falcon is, again, he's that hero that we deserve, but I don't think he's the hero that we need. I think Bucky is, he has his moments of, humor and joy, not so much in the most recent movies, but if you think back to first Captain America, if you think to, like, the tart moments with him in Civil War, those are great. There's still a human in there, but he's somebody that I think we can learn a lot from by watching his journey. Sam was basically like a level plane the whole way through. In all of the Captain America movies, his character journey is flat.
Wow, that was intense.
Oh boy, it's like picking between children. No, gee, I'm gonna take some pressure off. Jacob, what do you think?
Of what?
A while.
Pretty interesting, though. Admittedly, the fact that you remembered who Falcon was after your finished argument, that kind of does hurt a little bit.
I know. I realize that. That's why it's a speed round. You don't have time to look up shit. At least you got to admit, at least I was able to get it in right after I said my points. At least I was able to.
That's not on the official record, though.
God damn it.
Though admittedly, basically all your arguments against Bucky Monty was people won't like him, he's guilty, or he's angry and pissed off. And did I mention he's angry and pissed off?
He's a flat character. I'm sorry.
He's more than, if you understand anything about development, he's more than a flat character.
All right.
Okay, let me make it clear. I love both of these characters, and they're both, I think, make fine Captain Americas. And some, I don't know what the order is. That's the thing. They both be excellent, but they have to pick an order. So with this question, picking who will be the next one, who'll be first to pick up the giant kind of metal frisbee to quote Ultron. I think based on these arguments. Well, honestly, I'm going to side with Gulliver. I'm going to give Gulliver the point on this one because he's bringing up some interesting points that he is different from Cap, and as much as great as it is, I mean, we can never have too much Captain America. I mean, Falcon there's not really a lot of conflict in him becoming the next Captain America. I'm not saying there needs to be conflict. I'm just saying that there's not a lot of it would be a little bit more of the same. Here's a very even characterized guy like Captain America, as we experienced at the beginning of Winter Soldier. You guys are fast friends, and that's cool. But you get an interesting story. Bucky has to redeem himself. I think Gulliver brought those points to the forefront, and I think that's why he gets it.
Fair enough. Okay,
Tiki,
scores,
for what it's worth, I agree with you, but that's not how the game works.
Yeah, totally. So the score is now 2-3. We still have 3 speed round questions left, so it's anyone's game. Gulliver, you're fine on time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, next question. we did a question earlier on in the main round in honor of Thor Ragnarok, and of course we had a question in honor of Guardians of the Galaxy with the ride. You know, Thor Ragnarok being kind of the big showdown. You know, being kind of the one-on-one fight kind of element of the episode. And now we're going to talk about kind of the unofficial Marvel film of the year. We're going to have a Spider-Man related question.
Okay.
So, again, remember, same rules again. You just got to jump in there once the question's said. Which Spider-Man villain, yet to be adapted to the big screen, should appear in a future MCU, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, any of the future Tom Holland Spider-Man films? No shocker, though. No, you can't use shocker.
Mysterio.
Oh, shit, that's what I was going to say. Oh, damn it. It's almost like we agree on stuff. All right. Kraven the Hunter.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's a good one.
Awesome.
Okay. This is going to be a good
one. What did you say?
Kraven the Hunter.
What did you say? Cut out for me for a moment.
Kraven the Hunter.
It's Mysterio versus Kraven, man.
Oh, man. I would watch that movie right there with no Spider-Man in it.
Oh, yeah, totally. 100%.
Okay, just imagine Kraven going like a holographic forest of some kind of Mysterio rigged up.
Okay. All right.
Basically, it's like Kraven walks into the Jungle Book and that Mysterio made that. Anyway, sorry.
So yeah, I'll go first with Mysterio. The great thing about Mysterio is that he represents kind of like the theatricality of Spider-Man very well, and also the duology and the dual nature of him and the man behind the mask and whatnot. And, it's great that Mysterio is like one of the most visually intimidating villains, but underneath that, you have kind of like this wimpy guy. And I think the perfect person to represent that and to bring that to the forefront, let's bring the whole Spider-Man series full circle. We're going to have Bruce Campbell as Quentin Beck. Bruce Campbell is Quentin Beck.
Just for my own curiosity, Gulliver, would you have picked Bruce Campbell as well?
I mean, that was rumored, and I was like, fuck yeah. But, in reality, I think that would do better in a Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Kind of like wimpy guy with a tough exterior. Like, that's Ash's whole arc.
Sure, yeah. But, I think that would have worked better in a Sam Raimi Spider-Man than in an MCU Spider-Man.
Well, let's get into it with the debate. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
All right, so what I'm picturing, we've got lots of Spider-Man movies where there's these big epic villains and they go up against, something that's dark and mysterious and huge and scary, and that's great. But what I really love is just like an angry dude who is a normal guy who happens to be really good at hunting and wants to take down Spider-Man for jollies. Like that, because you can have a great story about Peter Parker doing cool stuff and Kraven the Hunter is just like interrupting that constantly. I think that would be a really interesting movie because it's a left field move for the MCU.
Gulliver, as much as I love Kraven, I just think the practicality of that, again, going back to practicality, is like, it'd be a little off kilter, right? Just to have this angry, pissed off guy hunting Spider-Man. And I think Quentin Beck and Mysterio very much fits in with the MCU and the style of that a lot more.
Hold on a second. I have a visual aid for...
Oh, dear. Hold on. I'll log it to your screen.
So you were talking about practicality here, and this is what Mysterio looks like. And practicality as an argument on your part is out the window, I'm afraid. Sorry about that, my dude. For what it's worth, I'm also casting Bruce Campbell as Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, God. And that's time. Okay. Oh, man. So on the last official movie fights, it was like cast the 1980s Guardians of the Galaxy, and they kept constantly switching the cast, but the guy who won ended up with a cast comprised of Ronald Reagan playing all of the Guardians.
Oh, Jesus.
It's very much a moment that's like egg into a movie machine moment in a way.
Yeah.
And he had a really good cast. One of them had a really good casting pick for Star-Lord. Kevin Kline is Star-Lord. I wanted to see that, darn it.
Right.
Oh, man, yeah.
Okay, so
great.
No, quite frankly, I think Mysterio, like, with that picture, yeah, it fits right in with the MCU. It's like you got the armor look, you got the head, I think it's just goofy enough to fit with the MCU. And let's talk about what Gulliver was saying about Bruce Campbell. I think Bruce Campbell, there's no reason why, even though he was in the Spider-Man movies, why he can't play Quentin Beck. There's no contract that says he can't come back. He's not playing the same character. He's not playing the maitre d' or the usher. He's playing Quentin Beck. And I think, like I said, the tough exterior mixed with kind of like the wimpy guy out, you know what I mean. That's Campbell's. Yeah, that's Campbell's thing.
So here's where I'm at with Spider-Man going up against Mysterio. What you're seeing is probably a lot of like illusions and trickery and stuff like that, which is cool, but it's not very dynamic on screen for a character whose main like cool thing is agility and acrobatics, because illusions against acrobatics, it doesn't make all that much of a compelling thing. I'm seeing like a villain in Kraven that's pushing Spider-Man to his absolute limit, wearing him out, just like taking this to the absolute end of like what's possible, just for the thrill.
Okay.
Good boy. Jeez. Jacob Weil, what do you think? Who do you think kind of stole this one?
This is kind of a tough pick. Both of these would be pretty interesting to see.
Just more Spider-Man, period, please. Can we just like 11 Spider-Man films just to start with?
No, I don't think we need that many Spider-Man films. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Well, also spin-offs. Like, just get like 11 films with the whole bunch of stuff. But no Aunt May spin-offs.
But
Let's do Scarlet Spider spin-offs, do Clone Saga.
There we go.
Oh, God.
Spider-Gwen?
Sure. It's a little gimmicky, but yeah.
Yeah.
Miles Morales, so he's getting animated ones. Anyway, sorry, go on.
We just turned into like Red Letter Media, just listing exciting Marvel stuff.
You guys want some pizza rolls?
Uncle Ben! Oh, actually, he's dead. Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Looks like Peter Parker's gonna have a tough time against this bad guy.
Oh my God, that's wow.
Oh, jeez.
Wow, props.
Okay, we're on a
It's a
tangent.
dumb voice, but it's great.
We're on a webby tangent here. Come on.
All right, all right. So who won? Come on, guys! No
Wow,
pressure or anything.
Wow, who do you think won?
I honestly think Tiki made the better arguments for Mysterio.
Okay, let's see. Well, of course, the points are brought up visually. Of course, the series, all the very classic of the series, but he's visually cool. He fits with the MCU. Bruce Campbell, of course, is all very strong points to make. Then Gulliver, you kind of question like, how do you sell kind of the the fishbowl head in live action? And I think the detrimental thing Gulliver said against Mysterio was that Mysterio is really hard to stage Mysterio action, which I do feel. Which I do feel like concern doesn't really get brought up with a lot of as much as cool as it would be. You got to think like it's really hard. Imagine it's really hard to write mysterious stories. It's like all kind of like, hey, something appeared. There's like the Loki trick from the Avengers movies.
Right.
It's like, hey, you thought it was there. Nope, it was a hologram. And with Craven, he did bring some. I didn't I kept it vague for this. I guess for this very reason. Just I kept it. He doesn't have to be the next one, but I mean down the line. I could see this Craven pitch that Gulliver's kind of throwing out there. This is something that kind of comes out of left field that Spider-Man's not prepared for. It's like a real kind of do or die danger to it. Just kind of this psychotic human hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So just out of intrigue, I'm going with Craven. I'm going with
son of a bitch.
Gulliver.
Again, for what it's worth, I agree with you, but that's not how the game works.
So that means I have to get the next two in order to even stay alive for a tiebreaker.
Yes.
Okay, we're down 40. Wow.
We'll see. Okay.
I think someone's a little starstruck by the Super Academy writer and director in the room.
Yeah, I can just go, like, if I'm causing a problem.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking.
We better be. I'm giving both of his points away.
Right.
All right. So, the next question.
Yep.
Who's the worst MCU villain?
Ronan the Accuser.
Oh, well, fuck. Malekith, obviously.
Okay, now I should mention before we go forward, I did forget to mention one small thing. This is submitted by a trickster god, so darn that Loki. His projection trick was over one word in that question. So that one word
my-
that was changed from worst Marvel villain, which is now revealed to be who is the best Marvel villain with the choices you just made. I want to make it clear.
Say it again.
Okay, Gulliver, you win. I'm gonna go home now.
Oh, don't be like that. Don't be a wimp. Come on.
I have to argue Malekith is the best villain in the MCU.
That's right. You have to argue your choices as the best
task, my friend. That is an impossible task.
It's a trick. Gulliver, it's a trick question. That's the game.
Oh my god!
I see.
You Dragon.
And I want to hear one.
Gulliver, you are so lucky that you didn't pick Malekith.
I would have argued for Malekith for a while. I can think of a lot more arguments for him, honestly.
Oh man.
Can I just say I'm glad I decided to sit this one out now?
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go balls to the walls with this.
All right, so I want to make it clear. Not one negative.
I'm gonna do a thing. So
What was Gulliver's pick for MCU villain?
Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Accuser is the best MCU villain.
Okay.
And Tiki's is Malekith.
And you're Tiki's arguing for Malekith is the best.
Okay,
I've got it. I've got this.
Now let me make it clear so we can just move on. There's a not one negative or defeatist word about your choice. I don't want to hear, the minute I hear it goes the other, the point goes the other guy. The minute I hear someone say, I know a lot of people don't like this character. I don't want to hear that. I hear that, point goes the other guy instantly. Got it? Okay.
Sure. Okay. Well, Gulliver, by all means, take the floor.
Sure. So Ronan the Accuser is great because he has a hammer and because he's Lee Pace in a lot of heavy makeup, and Lee Pace is good. And he's religious, I guess. And he doesn't let other people influence his opinions or change it all. And he's good because he has a cape, and because yeah.
I don't think he has a cape, but it's kind of drapey.
Okay.
Yeah, let's argue semantics on this one. Why not?
I think technically he does have a cape. Let me check on that.
All right, you check on that. So it's Tiki, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Christopher Eccleston as Malekith, absolutely chilling to the bone. This guy is a man of few words, but he wipes out entire civilizations. He wants to take control of time and space itself. He doesn't need to see much. He doesn't need to have much screen time. That makeup mixed with Eccleston's dark, chilling, absolutely haunting delivery, it's a tour de force performance. It's basically the Hannibal Lecter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
But Tiki, you just like him because he's a doctor from Doctor Who. Clearly, there's no other good qualities to that performance or any kind of other story that's good about an ancient race that's been locked away forever and are coming back to punish them.
Well, Gulliver, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually don't like Doctor Who at all. It's way too complicated for me to follow. But I do like Eccleston from The Leftovers, and he does do a great performance there. And I think Eccleston, like I said, he's a man of few words, but holy crap is he haunting. He's chilling to the bone, and the makeup, and he's just intimidating as all hell.
You're right. I have nothing else to say about Ronan the Accuser. I'm sorry. I can literally think of nothing else to say about him.
Okay.
I apologize.
So, I have 30 more seconds for Malekith, and I'm going to use it.
Okay.
All right. Malekith is just the destroyer of worlds. He comes out of nowhere into the plot. He kills frickin' Loki, or he has a hand in killing Loki. How evil is that? The guy is just so haunting. I have nightmares of Malekith. He is just the most incredible, gut-wrenching villain. That stare, that just the fact that he has so few lines, but he's so terrifying. Oh my god.
Okay, so well, everything you want to say before we pick the ruling on this one? Yo.
Lyle?
Sorry, I was just thinking. Admittedly, Tiki did say more about why Malekith is better. So, but come on, Gulliver. There's so much more you could have said about Ronan. I mean, there's
Like what? Tell me. Honestly, I have nothing. Good response. Well done, you.
You faulted your entire argument. So I think I have to go Tiki for this one, honestly.
Okay, here's what I'm coming down on.
It is impossible to argue that Ronan Accuser was a good
It's
fit.
impossible to argue that Malekith is, but I did it, and you should have too. There's a lot more juice on the.
Ronan is a far better villain than Malekith.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you could talk about religious fanatic. He used the Infinity Stones as an actual threat to the universe. You could have used that.
All right. Let's not jump.
So here's
throat.
All right. Here's what I'm coming down on. So I'm gonna give the point to Tiki, but I want to make it clear. I'm a little. I'm sorry. Was that a threat?
Yes.
Are you testing me on here?
Yes.
You're testing me.
Yes, I am. What are you gonna do?
On second thought.
No, give him the point.
All right, because Gulliver is a sportsman, I
had no argument. I don't think my stance that I was given was defensible. So you should give Tiki that point.
Now, what I want to say though is that I actually I like Ronan the Accuser. I actually think there was a defense that could have been had, and is he could have said the fact he does bathe in the blood of his enemy. He had a really cool introduction, and again he kills the other, which even Loki was a friend. There's a lot of stuff you could argue for Ronan, which I don't think you should have sacrificed.
But why is he doing anything he's doing other than that he's religious? He's like a zealot.
That's a little vague, but
why
still,
is Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame doing anything of what he's doing besides he's a zealot? And he's the most captivating villain in the entire Disney canon for a lot of people.
Sure, but that story is about religion. Guardians of the Galaxy is not about religion.
I'm saying, just even on...
That's your opinion.
Sure.
I mean, especially Volume 2. Volume 2 actually does get into some religious stuff, but...
My thought is this: if Guardians of the Galaxy had a large portion of the plot revolve around some sort of religious aspect, and the Guardians had fucked it up, then there would be a point to him doing any of the things that he did. He has no reason to do the things he did and to attack all the people that he did. Other than that, he's a zealot and he's angry.
All right.
I mean, it's odd, mentality in that situation. We're established from the very beginning. Malekith he's been locked away and he's been imprisoned by the Asgardians. He was shamed and defeated long ago. There is a clear motivation beginning.
Gulliver, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't remember jack shit about Malekith, all right? I don't even remember if he's the one that killed off Loki or not. I was just taking a wild guess.
That was not Malekith. That was the other guy.
Yeah.
Adewale.
I can't pronounce his name.
I know.
Tuku,
That's Curse, isn't it? I think his name is Curse in the movie.
Yeah, the Curse or something, yeah.
I was just literally going on the guy is haunting and he's silent and ooh, isn't it scary? I was pulling shit completely out of my ass.
Just to recap before we move over, essentially there's a lot of commitment on Tiki's side to that one, and it's kind of where it's.
Yeah,
I'm just saying committing to the lousy one. For me, let's not go in circles on this. Let's move forward. So. Okay, this could be the question that makes it a tie here if you can get this. That's where the pressure is right now.
Yep.
Okay, you ready?
Oh boy, I guess.
I want to make sure I got this one in here, so I had to rearrange some questions. Here we go. I got my emergency break glass question at the ready, just in case. Which MCU film or show, that includes ABC or Netflix, should Deadpool cameo in?
Oh.
Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
Or show. Sorry, I'm gonna have to take a minute. That's a good question.
All on the table. Anything in the MCU. It's all on the table.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and say... I'm going to go ahead and say Infinity War.
Okay.
Yeah.
Infinity War. Okay. Whenever Gulliver wants to start.
So I'm going to make the case for Spider-Man Homecoming because I think the tone is going to be a big question here. There's a lot of Marvel films that get darker or they get, bogged down with a lot of, characters on screen at once or lots of things happening. I think Spider-Man Homecoming is going to be lighter. It's going to be sweeter. There's going to be some good moments. And I think it would be, a great place where Deadpool could show up for a cute cameo, and say something that's probably not appropriate for Spider-Man. And it would be like a good little moment without being like stepped on by other heavier plots or heavier themes.
So the reason I want Deadpool in Infinity War is simply because it would be such a heavy movie, and it involved just these massive stakes and this huge group of characters coming together, and maybe like at the end of the second act when all hope is lost, Deadpool just pops up. Man, you guys are super serious. You guys just need to take a chill pill. Oh my God, seriously, you guys have issues. And then Star-Lord comes in, of course I have issues! My father is a planet! And yeah, it goes from
there. You're right. It does seem logical to have Deadpool appear in something like Infinity War because there's lots of other stuff happening, but that's also a problem because he's going to get washed over by a lot of other events and other characters, and something that could be really interesting is going to be, lost in that mess.
Deadpool's cameo would be absolutely the comedic center point of the whole Infinity War. It would be something entirely out of field that no one expects. It would be the most fourth wall breaking thing in the MCU, and it'd come at a pivotal moment, and it'd be Deadpool taking the piss out of all the other characters.
Deadpool's cameo in Spider-Man Homecoming, on the other hand, would be a great moment to show Peter the opposite side of what he could become. He could become so wisecracking that he loses the human side, whereas with Tony, he would become too serious and in-depth that he would lose his funny side. So it would be like a nice contrast to the other hero we already have in that film. I think that would be a cute little way to introduce him. That's all I got.
All right. Yeah, you lost me with that hero parallel, man, because we're going to spend so much time with Tony Stark. Do we really need another character that's going to, parallel Peter Parker? I really don't think so, and I think the tone of Spider-Man Homecoming is going to be very much a family-friendly comedy, kind of like a John Hughes type of thing. I don't necessarily think that Deadpool's darker sense of comedy would work well, whereas I think it'd be a perfect moment for Deadpool's dark comedy to come in at a pivotal moment in Infinity War when we need kind of that pick-me-up, and Deadpool would provide it in the most awesome and crowd-pleasing way.
Okay. Both very good picks. I want to commend you on that because, of course, people are dying to see because they have a comic right now. Even just Spider-Man, Deadpool, just kind of paired up together in some capacity. At the same time, of course, Infinity War would be kind of the ultimate kind of MCU crossover, to kind of broadening and basically kind of a way of kind of crossing with every franchise in a way. So both very solid choices. I want to give you that, and they both sound really awesome. I love the Gulliver's kind of saying, they could have a parallel between what the path Spider-Man could take, and even if it's like a little one-scene gag, it's like there's still volumes that could be said with it. It's like, hey, not only is it's a fun little cameo, it's a cameo with plot relevancy. Who knew? And in the case of Infinity War, I think that one is a supernatural fit. It's like it's kind of Infinity War is going to be like an anything goes kind of situation, and it will be pretty serious. At least we know. I think it's pretty safe to say third act's going to be really do or die type stuff, and you got to imagine first act at some point in that movie, Vision's going to have a gem ripped out of his head, and that's not going to tickle. So,
right.
So I would figure the comedic center point and all that stuff. I don't know. I feel based on the fact that Tiki did bring up an excellent point that if we have Tony Stark as a parallel for Spider-Man, and as much as I still like that idea, I think Tiki just going to hit it home that with Tony Stark we just we have enough there and we don't need to kind of squeeze in any other. I think it'll raise more questions if Spider-Man appears in Homecoming versus if he appears in Infinity War.
If Deadpool appears in Homecoming.
What did I say?
You said if Spider-Man appears in Homecoming.
Oh,
Of
crap.
course Spider-Man's
I
going to
really
appear in
hope
Homecoming.
Spider-Man appears at Homecoming. Let me tell you.
Sorry.
That would be a huge bait and switch.
How dope would that be if you went and there's just no Spider-Man in it? Just like,
It's just like Iron Man 4.
yeah.
Here's an alternative. Well, can't use this, but imagine this. Imagine if Spider-Man Homecoming, he takes off the mask and like all that stuff we have seen was in the trailers, and it's actually Deadpool under the mask.
Oh, God.
There's a Deadpool cameo on Homecoming.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tiki the point, which brings us to a tie.
Woo! All right.
All right.
Well, again, both really good ideas. I want to say that. Both cool ideas.
This is great.
All right. Time for the break glass option.
Yep.
Or two, break that glass.
Can I just say before we go on, Gulliver, you have been an outstanding opponent, man, and this has been a blast. Thank you
Likewise.
for coming on.
Yeah, this is a ton of fun.
All right.
I want to make it clear this is not fixed in any way, folks. It just completely happened this way. And I bring this up because we had a bunch of tiebreakers recently. It's been happening that way. I'm going to tell you.
Well, to be fair, the one with Gabby, we kind of made it a tiebreaker just to speed things along.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. Anyways.
Just it's kind of the way the ink's falling on the page, folks. No, I'll tell you. Okay. So R2, break the glass for me. Thank you. All right. I got to warn you, the break glass option is really, really silly.
I love that. That's good for me.
Okay. In a buddy cop movie starring Groot,
Oh, God.
who should be his co-star, not counting Rocket Raccoon? He can't be the co-star. Anyone else under the sun of the MCU. Anyone under the sun of the MCU can be in there with him.
Previously established characters.
Okay, now you said Baby Groot?
I left it broad. Whatever Groot you want. You got to
Whatever
tell me which Groot just while you're at it too. Like
Okay.
that. What stage of Groot?
Okay.
Ant-Man, and it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Dormammu.
Ooh.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Wow.
Dormammu and giant-sized Groot from the comic books, like even bigger Groot than we've seen in Guardians 1.
Really big Groot. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's not just big Groot. It's really big Groot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So it's not confined to the MCU then.
What?
Well, that's all right.
Well, I mean, I think Groot's growth patterns in the MCU are kind of like up in the air right now. So it's just like Groot is growing, so.
Well,
Personally, I would like to see a buddy cop movie with teenage Groot.
tell you what,
We'll probably see Teenage Groot in Infinity War. I would wager.
I tell you what, just to simplify things, I don't think we can afford really big Groot because you already got Dormammu in there. So I mean, Dormammu's good. He's going to be a really oversized.
Right. In that case, I'm going to go with Teenage Groot and Dormammu.
Okay, Teenage Groot and Dormammu. Okay, there's a 48-hour premise I never thought I'd hear.
Dude, I'm all on board.
Instead of Nick Nolte going over like, we ain't friends, convicts, is I'm Groot, I'm Groot,
Right. Oh, God.
Okay, so Gulliver, you're gonna start us off. Remember, guys. Let's not lose focus here. This is for all the marbles. This is the super important question, the most important question in this whole thing. So bear that in mind.
Comes down to Teenage Groot and Dormammu.
So the reason Groot's size doesn't matter in this case is because Ant-Man can just match whatever size he needs to be. So I think we can have a whole ton of amazing size jokes and things like that. I think Paul Rudd is a better improviser and has a better sense of comedy than Bradley Cooper does in a lot of places, although Bradley Cooper is more intimidating. I'm picturing an off-the-walls balls with Jackie Chan cop adventure, but with Groot and Ant-Man just barely scraping their way through a bunch of crazy-ass shit. They have to go and do something because somebody important told them that they had to go and do it, and that's the whole premise.
Okay, Jackie Chan Adventure. That's the one to beat right now.
Can I just correct Gulliver on something? He mentioned Bradley Cooper instead of Vin Diesel.
Well, no, I think he was talking about.
I was meaning because his normal partner is Rocket. I think that Paul Rudd
I'm sorry. Gotcha.
I think Paul Rudd is a better improviser and has a little better sense of comedy than
my bad.
his normal partner.
Okay.
Technically, a lot of Rocket Raccoon's lines were improvised in the first one just by Sean Gunn, not Bradley Cooper.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, that was just me misunderstanding. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So.
No fun fact there.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start. So what makes a good buddy cop movie? It's the opposing dynamic, right? So what bigger opposing dynamic would there be than the fatherly figure that is Dormammu, the god of time, the guy who is just like one of the most powerful things that we've seen in the MCU up to this point. And then Teenage Groot, who's just like kind of like the wisecracking, like Dormammu would be kind of like the the veteran, and Teenage Groot would be the rookie, and Dormammu has to show Teenage Groot the ways.
I absolutely love your premise, but I don't think there is a challenge that can be put in place that Dormammu doesn't basically just instantly win. So that's the problem I have with that. I think their dynamic would be interesting, but I don't know that you have much of a plot that could be compelling or have a a resolution with the climax.
Multiverses! You see, Dormammu might have all control over the one MCU that we're in, but what if this movie is a perfect opportunity to introduce multiverses, and that's something that this Dormammu wouldn't have a handle on, and that'd be the perfect mystery to go at it.
Well, I see what you're saying with multiverses.
Hold on. Stop. Sorry. Gulliver, do me a favor. Give me a test. Say something.
Test. Hello.
Yeah, a little bit
It's
static.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a moment, see if maybe we can alter ourselves, remind the folks, and then again, this last rebuttal for all the marbles. It's whatever these last 30 seconds entail. It's
Can you hear me? Test.
Right.
it's getting better, but still a little static. Can we see if we can get one more?
Yeah, that happens sometimes with this mic.
You're getting worse. You're getting worse, actually.
Yeah.
How about now?
Right,
So
I think we might just have to go with it, Dragon.
All right, we'll just
I can try switching to another mic.
If you want to try and do that, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll give that a shot.
Yeah. So, Dragon and Jacob, do you want to do a little bit of like fight commentary?
Okay. Boy, oh boy, I have never seen a matchup like this. I have not seen it since Gabby versus Sandy, and my God, she blew him out of the water.
Oh,
More
totally
impressively
did.
was Gabby versus Tiki. That was a hair away from being the most harrowing battle I have ever seen. And yet again, folks, we are in the deadlock of Tiki versus another opponent.
No.
No.
It looks like Gulliver's trying to. No, we can't, Gulliver.
Oh.
Boy.
I think he's trying to talk, but I see his mouth moving, but he's
That's definitely what's happening. Yeah.
We're gonna.
We might just have to use the crappy mic
Sure.
because I mean we're so close to the end. Gulliver, can you just switch back to the mic you were using?
We'll just muddle through it. Again, it's the last 30 seconds. We'll just
Yeah.
muddle through it. If you can hear us, like, give us a thumbs up or something. Okay, hooray!
Can you test the audio again? No, we can't hear him.
I don't think you can test the audio. You get nothing. No.
Oh boy.
Try. Okay.
That might work. Yeah.
I feel like Ron Burgundy. Yeah.
Just click on the link again. Click on the link I sent you on Facebook. All right. All right. So yes, I gotta say, folks, this is a really intense match. Jacob Gulliver, absolutely a formidable opponent. I gotta say, I'm surprised I got this far because, my God, this guy is a scholar when it comes to.
Wait.
Okay, we got.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Better.
And the static is gone. Okay.
Yay!
Apologize.
Okay, so let's just put everyone in the
Of course it goes wrong, like at the last, like I don't even
sorry,
remember where
guys.
I was in the argument. No, it's fine. It's not your fault. Oh, okay, hold on. I just need to refresh myself on the argument. Like, okay, so the last point I made was the big multiverse thing, contrasting Gulliver's opinion that Dormammu
I
wouldn't
think I
have
was
the
next.
chance to face. Yeah, you're next. Last 30 30-second rebuttal, final statement.
For all the Marvels.
Well, I think the multiverse theory is interesting. I think the MCU has already established this like great, amazing world for the characters to play in, and having like things tangentially related, like maybe they have to go on a heist and like steal some shit from Justin Hammer, or like just pick one of these like goofy characters to go up against, or like maybe they have to do something with Wong from Doctor Strange. Like that kind of like goofy buddy cop adventure would be just amazing to me. That's what I'm picturing.
Okay, I'm terribly sorry. Please don't count this against my argument, but remind me who Gulliver is paired up with.
Ant-Man, and
Ant-Man,
of course it's going to be
Ant-Man. Okay, I'm terribly sorry. Okay. Okay. Yeah, as I said, I just think the multiverse thing is just a good way to kind of get a challenge in there for Dormammu to face, and I think eventually we're going to run out of playground for the MCU. I think we're going to reach a point where we're going to want to start experimenting and doing new things. And let me just reiterate how fun this would be. We would have the ultimate buddy cop thing, because Teen Groot is the ultimate kind of like unruly rookie, and Dormammu is the ultimate kind of like, the guy who's like a week away from retirement who just wants to get the job done.
Okay, Jacob Boyle, what do you think?
This is definitely a tough pick. I mean, be pretty interesting. I mean, so how like did Gulliver ever determine which Groot would be with?
It doesn't matter because Ant-Man can just shrink or grow to match his size. That's the best part about it.
I'm just saying, did he ever determine which Groot? Like baby Groot, teenage Groot, adult, or adult Groot?
Adult Groot is probably the most interesting because he's more physical, but it doesn't really matter because I think the story still sells really well as like a goofy, fun buddy cop movie.
Well, I had a story with
going
a
on weird
foundation
heists
to it based on the type of Groot that I had.
Well, both of them sound. I was just wondering if it affected your argument at all, but
I don't think.
I don't know. Oh, in a certain way, but Dragon, how are you leaning in this one?
Here's what I'm seeing. We get very interesting pairings. Let's say that much. I think the multiverses thing I thought was a really interesting point that Tiki brought up. That was really interesting point. Kind of they are very much polar opposites, kind of fitting kind of the rookie and the veteran cop kind of dynamic. And it sounds so. I was really interested. He's really interested in the father figure angle Tiki brought up briefly. The whole Dormammu's been around the block. Dormammu taking a liking to this teenage tree over time. That does sound quite interesting. Right. For all we know, Dormammu may or may not be able. No, he doesn't know what time is. So, well, no, it's not that he doesn't know what time.
He's not exactly a time lord.
Yeah, I was thinking of the whole the ending of Doctor Strange, where I was thinking if he could like maybe age and de-age Groot if he wanted to, but no, he can't do that. That's the time gem. Okay, and then on the Gulliver side of things, I think Gulliver had a really strong pairing, really strong premise. The heist thing, doing kind of in the comedy kind of tone style, like a Jackie Chan cop adventure. And again, just Paul Rudd's kind of rapport with just everyone. Period. I mean, because Paul Rudd always is really good and he's really great at improvisation. Honestly, I'm just based on I'm super interested in the Ant-Man pick. I think there was I got a better picture of what that one was versus like how we get this giant godlike being with this teenage trait. I would have liked to hear more of the semantics of it. I heard multiverse like, okay, this is like how we could fit it in there. I just would like to know how we could physically have them like driving a car together or something.
Right. I would have loved to see him as like the 60s, the 60s like dude in like a robe with the flaming head, Dormammu, like him hanging out with Groot and like them trying to like go and buy things at a store would be hilarious. It's like, I demand you give me these goods. All right.
It would be hilarious. So
okay, that'll be $20, Mr. Flamey Head Guy. I have no money for you. Have some death. It's like that would have been amazing. I would have gotten a whole hug on that.
So here's what I'm coming down. It's a point goes to Gulliver, so Gulliver wins. 5 to 4, though, very close.
Semantic victory! Yay!
And Tiki's losing streak continues.
Yes.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for emphasizing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're the one who brought it up earlier.
It's so good, man. Like, so many of your arguments were really, really good.
Yeah, thanks.
There were many times when I was like, I don't deserve this point. It should have gone to Tiki, but I'm not moderating, so
All right.
don't stress at all. I see this as more of a tie. I will happily share this victory with you.
No, it's not a tie. You earned it. You earned it, man. Take it. Take it.
You guys both did very good. I mean, I couldn't even choose between that last one.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dragon, why don't you take us out then?
Will everyone have a good time this evening?
Oh, yeah.
Last.
All right.
Another fun debate.
Well, I guess some final plugs all around, some stuff we got cooking up, and of course, always, Super Academy and Hot Chocolate Media and so on and so forth. Mr. Gulliver, would you like to give us any specific sales pitch as we're going out here?
You've already heard the pitch for Hot Chocolate Media, but specifically, if you haven't checked it out yet, please go check out Super Academy on hotchocolatemedia.net or on YouTube or on The Escapist. You can find it just about anywhere that good content is available. And we're looking at doing another season here. We're very close to launching a Kickstarter. We're waiting on a very important key surprise that is involved in that process, and we can't complete it until that comes through. And I won't spoil it for you, but it rhymes with Drinkara.
Okay. All right.
Now, Tiki, anything to plug?
Anything to play? I mean, you're on the channel, so just check out our content, folks. Check out Steven Universe vlogs and Jacob Weil and I. We're really close to actually starting with our Tangled the Animated Series stuff, which is totally like the cross pollination between fans of Tangled and fans of Marvel is just like insane. It's just like it might as well be the same fandom. Of course, I'm being totally sarcastic, but no, seriously, we're concentrating a lot on animated programming, and of course, Dragon and I are talking through exploring Gotham and Better Call Saul. And
Not to mention
Samurai Jack, of course. And I guess importantly, next month is going to be Spielberg month, the return of Spielberg month in June, which I'm very much looking forward to. We're going to be tackling another 5 Spielberg movies, doing audio commentaries for them, because Spielberg has that weird thing where he doesn't like to do commentaries for his movies. So check that out, folks. I can confirm that the first installment Spielberg month is the one that I was kind of arguing to do in the first place in the first one, which is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah. All right. That's it for me, Dragon. Anything to plug on your end?
No. Just, we're all good there. Okay, right. So remember, so folks, we think we've had a good time this evening. It's been a hoot. It's been a marvelous edition of Disney Debates. Next Disney Debates, I can announce this, right?
Yeah, sure.
Next Disney Debates will be Pixar related, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a whole lot of really intriguing stuff. So I encourage everyone to come back for that for our next installment of Disney Debates. But as we are on this installment of Disney Debates, I say thank you and good night.
Why don't you cue R2D2 to cue us out?
R2, say goodbye to the nice people.
There we go.
Ain't he cute?
Good night, everybody.